Oh, no, I have to do. We were in closed session. We discussed employee matters and negotiations, and no decisions were made. So now we're going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Foreham, would you lead us?
Please stand. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now we're going to talk about the workshop this afternoon. Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. We had a very special moment. We wanted to have a moment of silence before we begin the meeting. I'd like to take this moment to reflect on the devastating wildfires that have impacted so many lives across Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Altadena, and surrounding Los Angeles communities. These fires have caused unimaginable loss and displacement, and we extend our deepest sympathies to the families and individuals affected. We also want to recognize and honor the brave first responders who actually have come from all parts of the country and beyond, who have worked tirelessly, putting their lives on the line to to protect the lives of others, their homes, communities, and in these unimaginable times. Additionally, we'd like to take a moment to pause and remember and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Al Mieres. He's the former Orange County Superintendent of Schools, a very dear man who passed away after a courageous 2.5-year battle with cancer. Dr. Mieres was not only a visionary leader, but also a kind and compassionate advocate for education who dedicated his life to improving opportunities for all students, their families, and communities. We extend our deepest condolences to his family and all who knew him and were positively impacted by his humble leadership. Let us now take a moment of silence to honor those impacted and to hold them dear in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Thank you. That's what happens when you come in 2 minutes before. I almost read my board report. Sorry. Okay, so now we are going to have Mrs. Reed tell us about the workshop this afternoon.
Thank you so much, President Davidson. We were really fortunate earlier this afternoon to have the community of Oak Middle School join us, and they had a full house here filled with parents and community members, lots of students and staff. And so Mrs. Garcia was able to share about the pride at Oak and really highlight their spirit of family, which is very inclusive of their high academic expectations, really focused on innovation at Oak. We heard from two amazing student speakers from the Student Leadership Program that really described their numerous and really intentional philanthropic work they've been doing this school year, as well as multiple student-based activities that happen during the school day to really bring together that pride. And then we ended our workshop getting to honor another amazing parent in the school district, Mrs. Melissa Newman, who's really dedicated a ton of time to supporting the schools that her student has attended. So it was a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you for sharing. And now we're moving on to our reports, and I'll start off with the president's report. If I can do technology here. All of us have been parents, all of us who have been parents likely remember those terrifying moments when you had the fear of letting go, letting your child head towards the great unknown. Navigating preschool and kindergarten were times that were nearly impossible to maneuver. My friends who've worked in both areas say that the hardest part on the first day, first week, and sometimes the first month is getting a parent back into his or her car so that school can actually begin. Then there's the middle school, when you absolutely think, at least I did, and I actually taught in middle school, I was throwing my innocent child into a pool of sharks. What I came to learn is that at every transition, my child would be met by adults who are there because they genuinely care. It's a calling for them. They are fully engaged in guiding, encouraging, and educating every child who passes through their door. I also learned that the best way to combat any fear or apprehension is with knowledge. LaSalle is ready to present you with what you need to know to get your child off on the best start possible in TK, middle school, high school, or wherever that might be. Last night, those opportunities were launched for the 2025-2026 school year. They're called Parent Informational Nights. Our award-winning kindergarten and TK Universal Kindergarten programs were talked about last night with parents at the high school in our PAC. They were described as inspiring, a place where you foster growth and prepare every child for a bright future. If you weren't able to attend last night, the slideshow will be online. You can check it out on our website. But what it tells you is not only about the program, but the dates that are really important for you to recognize. And then on Thursday night, we have our middle school information night, which also will be very informative for parents too at the PAC. For the TK Universal, the philosophy of kindergarten, which is a whole lot about love, inspiring learning, teaching kids how to get along and just how to manipulate a very new little universe for themselves, also discussed the differences, but they also discussed the differences between UTK and kindergarten. They described a typical day in kindergarten, and we as board members can tell you, we've gotten to tour those classes, the TK class, the kindergarten class, and when we're on campus, if we start there, it's really hard to ever leave because the joy is unimaginable. And the things that the kids are doing is absolutely astounding. In a TK class, I'm positive I'm in a kindergarten class. In a kindergarten class, I'm positive I'm in a first grade class because they're not only experiencing how to get along, how to share, how to like each other and care about each other, they're learning basic skills of learning and laying a strong foundation for their education. Last night, they talked about how to enroll your child and the fact that on every site where your child might be in TK or kindergarten, we provide extended daycare after school. The Universal TK program requires that your 4-year-old have a birthday by September 1st, 2025, so before by September 1st. If you want to enroll your child in kindergarten, he or she must be 5 years old on or before September 1st, 2025 as well. The enrollment for our district residents begins January 21st, and it's only 10 days to the 31st. Obviously, you can always come back in after, but that's the major enrollment where we're figuring out our classes and determining our enrollment. Inter-district transfer requests are accepted beginning February 28th. Middle school parent night is a whole other ballgame too, because it's a time when you're watching your children transition from elementary school to secondary school, which is a gigantic leap, and it's sometimes really hard to let go. But what you're going to find out if you go on Thursday night, January 16th at 6 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center, you're going to find out about middle school campus life. We had Oak this afternoon describing the most amazing things that go on, the 30 clubs, ASB, choir, science, technology, everything there for your child to find his or her passion. They gave the registration timelines, course offerings and placements for grades 6 to 8. It's a different world for kids because they're transitioning from one teacher to 6 teachers. But what you need to know, because I was on that campus for a very long time at McAuliffe, is that 6th graders are really nurtured and cared for. They're sort of in an island unto themselves. And Dr. Wieswright was a wonderful principal of McAuliffe. He knows that we take good care of our 6th graders and help them make that maneuver, help them figure out how to, they're always positive that their the lock's broken on their lockers. They got a bad lock. That goes on for a few days. They also want to know when recess is and how are they going to get to their next class in 5 minutes. And we, teachers and administration staff, nurture them all along the way. They get to experience electives and fine arts programs. Middle school, they bring their own devices, so they have their own computers. There's a program for that. We have enrichment and intervention opportunities. Families seeking inter-district transfer permits are welcome to stay after the presentation to learn more about that process. Now, finally, I just wanted to highlight about a very special event. LAIF, our district's education foundation, is having a celebration on February 1st at 6 o'clock. You can get tickets online. And this is an event, probably so many of you are aware of LAIF, but what you need to understand about LAIF is that when we go to other districts, when we are with leadership from other districts, they'll say, how do you have the programs that you have at a time when the budget is being cut and we're having to figure out what to do with every penny? And a gigantic part of it is because of what this community provides for us in terms of sacrifice, donations, hard work. Their contributions make so much possible. So to support this night, and it's a lot of fun, would be a wonderful date night for you and your partner. So support LAIF by attending it. It's Saturday, February 1st at 6 p.m., held at the Seal Beach Tennis and Pickleball Center. This is a new arena for them, and featuring the band Flash Pants. Can't quite tell you much about that. But you can buy tickets online. There's an online auction. And for those of you that aren't aware of exactly what LAIF does, now if I can find what I did with it. Oh, so sorry. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, because I just misplaced the paper, that this is my first report in 2 years, so I apologize. A little bit nervous. That they spent over $200,000 on supporting our well space innovations. They've helped us open up rooms on every single campus where kids go to feel safe. They provided and helped support us in mental health counselors. All of this coming out of COVID and just the stressful world in which our kids are living in. We understand their need for a place to go, an oasis, a place of peace where they can trust that they're safe, where they can meet up with their friends at lunch so they're not by themselves. And those well spaces have flourished. One of the counselors, mental health counselors at the high school shared that after lunch, and I know from middle school, after lunch it's usually a chaotic mess out on the tables with nothing being thrown away. They won't leave the well space room at the high school until everything is back in its place and every piece of trash is picked up, because that center is their home. That is their place of refuge. It's their place where they meet their friends and they take great pride in it. They've also donated since 2016 nearly $1 million to technology, to innovation grants, to helping us with our 3-story building. And so you see the realities in the summer programs, in the after-school enrichment. You see the realities of supporting LAIF, because LAIF is totally supporting our classrooms, our teachers, and our students. So please take this opportunity to go out, have a fun date night, and support an organization that is supporting you. And that's my report, so thank you.
Mrs. Davidson, may I ask a quick question? So, Dr. Reese-Wright, I know we said inter-district transfers, but if parents want to do intra-district, are those the same deadlines? And that meaning that you have your home school, but you want to ask to go to a different school?
Good question.
Yeah, great question. So during that enrollment window of January 21st to January 31st, when they enroll their student in school, they can also go on simultaneously and complete the intra-district request form. We ask that they complete those by February so that we have that information so we can make some placements to start accepting our inter-district transfers.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Yeah, don't ask me, thank you. We now like to turn to our student report, and I know that he's much more poised and prepared than I am. So Joseph, let me hand it over to you.
Good evening, Madam President Davidson, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, any community's members watching in person or online, and present supporters. My name is Joseph Claypool, and I'm your student representative to the Board of Education from Los Alamitos High School. To kick off Winter Formal Week, ASB hosted the annual Winter Assembly with a nostalgic Back to the 2000s theme, featuring music and costumes from iconic Disney TV shows and movies like High School Musical. The assembly began with the national anthem performed by sound effects, followed by a lively dancing performance and a spirited high school musical number by the Song and Boys basketball teams. Focus Studios wowed the crowd with a next-level highlight video showcasing our winter sports teams. Throughout the assembly, students enjoyed interactive games like Finish the Lyric, ensuring everyone felt included. One by one, King, Queen, Prince, and Princess nominees strutted down the red carpet with friends as ASB students read a short bio for the student body to get to know each candidate. The nominees then participated in a fun game of human ring toss, where pairs of princes and princesses, along with kings and queens, competed for a special prize awarded by ASB. Like always, the assembly was concluded with the Griffin Classic, the roller coaster. Every single class performed it to perfection, but it was the seniors that took the crown for the best roller coaster. On Friday, students will vote, and the winners will be announced at Saturday's formal. The formal is being held at the House of Blues, which will be reminiscent of my formal sophomore year, so I'm very excited about that. With the addition of the new STEM building 2 years ago, the engineering department was given an opportunity to further develop the complex projects they always pursue. The engineering department is headed by Martin Valenzuela, who teaches all 3 levels of classes offered there: Intro to Engineering Design, Principles of Engineering, and Computer Integrated Manufacturing. All 3 courses build off of each other in order to tackle both the computer side and hands-on side of engineering. The intro class introduces computer-aided design, also known as CAD modeling, to its students, where they must learn how to replicate a 3-dimensional model onto a computer program and perform calculations. The intermediate class in the sequence, Principles of Engineering, focuses on the hands-on side of engineering, where students are tasked with solving problems in a step-by-step manner, creating unique figures for the task at hand. And the final class, Computer Integrated Manufacturing, combines the knowledge of CAD modeling from the intro class and the hands-on experience the students receive from the intermediate class. In this class, students are once again tasked with creating an invention that can solve a particular problem. However, instead of receiving instructions on how to do so, students must use their prior CAD and hands-on knowledge to find a clever solution themselves. The new engineering room has multiple 3D printers and laser machines that help create models with more durable materials, such as aluminum. Outside of the class, many students are part of the school's robotics and automotive club. Both clubs use the equipment in the classroom to create their own products. Last Wednesday, our high school wrestling team hosted Edison High School for the program's senior night. Similar to other senior nights, the wrestling boosters spotlighted every individual senior wrestler in the program, allowing each wrestler to walk out with friends and family. The boosters also set up a snack shack in the corner of the gym for everyone to enjoy. Everyone besides the wrestlers, of course, since they have to strictly maintain their weight. The atmosphere at a wrestling match is unique, beginning well before the first whistle. During warm-ups, the gym lights are dimmed as the team practices individual moves and stretches, setting a tone of focus and intimidation. The intensity only increases when facing a rival like Edison, and the energy from both the crowd and the wrestlers was palpable. Throughout each match, the energy on the sidelines was electric, with not only the coaches but also the other wrestlers offering tips and encouragement to help their teammates gain the upper hand. The first match of the night, at 108 pounds, saw a Los Alamitos wrestler secure a quick victory with a decisive pin, immediately winning the match. Don't underestimate these wrestlers by their weight alone. They are fierce, they have moves and strengths that would take down an alligator. Some contests were decided by pin, while others stretch over multiple 5-minute rounds, with points accumulated for victories. Overall, the Los Alamitos wrestling team brought out their best for senior night by beating Edison 8-2 in all matches. If you haven't seen our wrestling Griffins already in action, I highly recommend catching one of their upcoming matches for an exciting and competitive experience. Step into a world of creativity, passion, and performance. The Los Alamitos Drama Group, where every rehearsal is a chance to shine, and every play tells a story that stays with you long after the curtain falls. Normally, the drama department has around 6 to 8 weeks to prepare for a show. However, with less time because of winter break, they have masterfully executed the Outsiders play in just 5 weeks. In the play, the group will be divided into 2 sides, just as the story goes, with the Greasers on one side of the story and the Socias on the other. The Outsiders is a classic novel read by our 8th graders, so the drama would love to see them show out as well. Parts for the play are chosen through auditions and drawbacks and callbacks, which are open to all students. The casting is very selective. About 50 to 80 people audition, and around 10 to 15 are chosen for a role. The drama program is also supported by our students in technical theater, or commonly called theater tech. These students contribute by being in charge of backstage management of a show, doing things like costume design, set design, lighting, and props. This includes building sets and even sewing some of the costumes. So not only do we have students who go through the drama program under Ms. Castiglione, as the stars of the show on the stage, but we also have students who shine as experts behind the stage of the entire production. The performance for The Outsiders will be on January 23rd, 24th, and the 25th. So make sure to stop by if you have the chance. Finally some time to relax during the break, but for some, the grind never stops. Many seniors like myself found themselves balancing their free time vacationing with finishing college applications. But first, let's talk about student vacations. It is no surprise that some Griffins flew to exotic destinations, considering that, after all, a Griffin does have wings. From tropical spots like Cancun, Mexico, to faraway places like New Delhi, India, many Griffins traveled with their families to visit relatives in their ancestral countries. Other Griffins, myself included, simply took the opportunity to vacation with family, without the added bonus of a family visit. A popular destination this time of year for students is Mammoth, where skiing and snowboarding conditions are prime. Amid all the travel and relaxation, many students remained hard at work. Seniors in particular were starting to hear back from some colleges they applied to early, while also tackling more applications for regular decision deadlines that typically fall in early January. The best way to power through these applications is to find a quiet spot, free of distractions, perhaps with a quick snack in hand, like in the picture on the right side of my slide. Because of the vast amounts of colleges that exist in the country, the most common way applications are filed is through, you guessed it, the Common Application. And while seniors are working on their college apps, underclassmen are busy leading initiatives or volunteering with nonprofit organizations, giving back to the community. Either way, I'm sure every Griffin enjoyed the break they received, and because of it, are energized to kick off the new year and the new semester. Finally, let me introduce to you all a Griffin who soars in the classroom but also up in the sky, Sergio Santamaria. Sergio started out at Rossmore Elementary and then attended McAuliffe Middle School. Similar to my fascination with airplanes, Sergio is also obsessed with them, particularly with fighter planes, as he is currently studying to receive his private pilot's license. At the same time, Sergio works part-time at the local Long Beach airport. Back on the ground, Sergio is also an excellent skier and an integral part of the snow sports club at the high school, where he helps instruct beginners on how to get started skiing. Sergio was also part of the varsity tennis team for 2 years. After high school, Sergio is hoping to study aerospace engineering at the University of Purdue, which he wants to use as a launchpad point to kickstart a career in the Navy as a fighter pilot or even a project researcher for NASA. His favorite memory in his time in high school came when he was moved up into the varsity tennis squad senior year for the CIF finals. However, his favorite memory from his entire time in this great district he described to me was the people he became friends with and how he and his friends have been able to chart a path for aviation altogether. For me, I can talk to Sergio about airplanes or skiing for hours on end. He's one of the most dedicated, passionate individuals I've ever run into, and I'm sure that those values were instilled by this great district and will continue to serve him in his time beyond high school. With that, I would like to open the floor to any questions or comments from the board.
I have a quick question. So we know you're excited about college applications and getting ready for that. It's the start of second semester. What are you feeling? Because you're so engaged in the school, but you have this wonderful future.
Yes, so I think right now, second semester, my applications are all done, filed, so I'm just going to tone it down a little bit, have more fun, maybe hang out with friends a little bit more. And yeah, that's just what I'm looking forward to the most the second semester, I would say.
Well, we're excited for you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hill?
I just wanted to say quickly that a friend of my son's went to Purdue in their aeronautics program, and so and then went into the Navy. But so if he ever wants to talk to somebody, he lives locally. I'm happy to connect them.
I'll let him know.
I think we all appreciated the Back to the 2000s theme. Wow, I felt old, and I don't say that often. But it sounds like you guys are having so much fun. And I think that's a key part of it. For you to have just said you finish your applications and you're going to focus on having some fun too. Enjoy it. This is a special time for you and for so many other seniors. So we're proud of you. You can only do what you can do. And so at this point, keep cranking, keep doing the great work. We're so proud of you wherever you land and where the rest of our senior Griffins do. So keep us updated.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining me in tonight's student board report.
Thank you. It was wonderful as always. Dr. Pulver?
Thank you, Madam President. Always a pleasure to follow you, Joseph. I think you do such a great job in really highlighting different areas that sometimes don't get the full credit. So I loved
hearing and seeing a little bit more about our engineering pathway. I think that covers a great pathway for many of our kids, and even covering our wrestling. I haven't seen too much wrestling coverage at a board report, so I wanted to thank you for kind of branching out into different areas and really giving us a breadth of some of the activities and ways that students can get connected and involved at Los Alamitos High School. So tonight I have two sections really for my superintendent's report. And the first one that I really wanted to kind of just unpack a little bit with for the community, and obviously I think the board is already very well aware, is the lockdown situation that we had at Rossmore Elementary 2 days right before winter break. It was the Thursday, I believe it was the Thursday before winter break. And shortly, of course, some of these situations always occur right soon before school is going to be dismissed. And so we got a phone call from Rossmore Elementary and said that they had an adult individual knock on one of their doors. Turned out the individual knocked on the preschool room that is locked, and it has a doorbell that you can because they don't let people in unless they can see who it is. And when they answered the door, the individual said, call 911. I think there's an active shooter. And so obviously that's pretty alarming for any staff member to hear. They quickly called the office, called 911, and the principal put the school on lockdown as they were calling 911 and then reaching out to us here at the district office. In all of my years, I've never seen us having to call 911 and say that we potentially have an active shooter on or near a campus. To be clear, the individual never came onto our campus, and the individual wasn't saying they were the shooter, that they said they saw somebody. Turns out that the individual was a transient, possibly on some type of medication, drugs, alcohol, who knows, as we've looked at different video. But as we got the call at the district office, immediately our admin team deployed to Rossmore Elementary. And we also thought that we would need to send some teams over to support the other 3 schools within Rossmore. And so as I was driving to Rossmore, wanting to get boots on the ground as quickly as possible, called our PIO and said we need to be working on a message to let our families know that we're going to be putting our schools on a lockdown. Get to the campus, and was shocked a little bit, to be honest, that we didn't have a law enforcement presence on the campus when I got to Rossmore. So think about the time from driving from the district office to Rossmore, 911 already being called. I get to the school. Obviously, my badge is able to open up the gate, so I'm able to get through the gate. The office is locked. All the shades are down. Our teachers do a phenomenal job, and our principal did a phenomenal job doing the lockdown process. So, of course, I had to knock on the door to get into the office. The lights were off, shades were down. They could see that it was me and let me in. Asked if the sheriffs had responded yet or any law enforcement. They said no. And at that point, I said I couldn't wait any longer, that I was going to then tour the campus and sweep the campus to see if the campus was safe. Against the judgment of the office staff at that time, they said, no, Dr. Pulver, please don't go out there. Let's wait for law enforcement to arrive. And we just couldn't wait any longer. And so I did a sweep of the Rossmore campus. There was no individual on our campus. The gates were locked at all times. Was able to sweep the entire campus. Dr. Wieswright was also on the campus out in the front of the perimeter. I asked for a radio, and we were able to give the all clear right at the same time when finally Orange County Sheriff did arrive, but didn't come onto the campus. They arrived, and Dr. Wieswright talked to the responding officer and said, "Are we all clear?" She said, "Yeah." And he asked, "Did anybody let the school know?" "Oh, I don't know." And so we had cleared the campus at that time. Parents were waiting to pick up their child irregardless. We actually called 911 3 different times. And I think that was the really frustrating part. We called the first time when it came through, the second time to give a little bit more information of what the individual who reported it to us. We weren't sure if that was the individual in question or not, but who reported it, what the individual looked like. And then a third time, probably a little bit more of a concern in the voice of our principal, who said, is anybody coming to our campus? And so you can imagine that concern from our principal. So thankfully, the police did apprehend the individual. It turns out it was a transient who had gone to some other houses within the Rossmore community as well, and on the Ring cameras picked them up. And so they were able to apprehend the individual and provide whatever care the individual. The individual never had a gun, never had any violence. He must have been hallucinating, is what we believe, because we could see him on video kind of ducking as if he thought he was something was happening to him. And so in that process, there was no active shooter, clearly, but somebody thought that somebody was out to get him. And so during that time, once we had the all clear, we had not been able to get our message out to all of our schools about the lockdown because it all happened very quickly. And so we were able to alert all of our families within the Rossmore schools that we had placed kids on lockdown and that they were all clear. So, however, that did not sit very well with any of us here. And so I immediately asked to be able to meet with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. They met with me, our Director of Safety and Student Services, and our PIO on Friday, right before winter break. And we had a very frank conversation with Orange County Sheriff's Department. They acknowledged that really their response should have been improved directly to our campus. We asked about mutual aid because every time we've ever been told any potential threat like that could happen, that Seal Beach or Los Alamitos police would intervene probably quicker than Orange County sheriffs could. They use a different dispatch system than Westcon, which is our Seal Beach and Los Al and Cypress. And so they never activated mutual aid because they had internal information that showed that this was a very low threat. They had much more information than us, and so they knew it really wasn't an active shooter. But of course, none of that was communicated to us. So on the school site, we're acting on a 10, and they're acting on a level 2 or 3. And so that was probably the frustration for all of us in that moment. And so they have pledged at any time that we call 911 regarding that moving forward, that they will have an immediate response to our campus. Because as I said, unfortunately, Orange County Sheriffs never responded to our campus or set foot on our campus beyond the parking lot at that time. And that they would also work with their dispatch to give greater information when a report like that is being called. So they thought it was a much lower level threat. We didn't have any information to think anything differently than we were in a potential active violent situation potentially. The other great thing is, we get feedback from our parents, and I got a wonderful feedback from a parent at Lee Elementary, who she had emailed me saying, I was a little bit frustrated when we got the district email from the district about the lockdown at the other 3 schools as well, because I don't check my emails 24/7. Well, no, most of us don't. And why didn't I get a text message? And so we thought that we had sent the message out through the district, through the emergency system that would override everything and go out to text messages and to everyone immediately. Turns out, in talking with Parent Square, the district office communication protocols are set up slightly different than the school site system protocols. And so we have been able to make adjustments there, and moving forward, any of those communications will be able to be sent directly to email, text message, phone call as well. And so I really welcome the feedback from our parents, because as soon as she sent the email, I said, I completely agree with you. And we've got to figure out a way, if that did not happen, why didn't it happen? And so I want to make sure parents know they don't have to opt into emergency communication. If we have an emergency alert, you will get it, unless you have somehow unsubscribed from us. So that is a good thing that we've been able to debrief. And then I want to just really thank our Rossmore staff. Did such an exceptional job. Our kids were safe at all times. All of our safety protocols worked. Our security fencing and our buzzing camera systems worked. The individual was never on our campus at any time. But it was really the calm and the efficient actions of our principal, Mrs. Colte, of the staff in the main office, and teachers who kept students calm in the dark, away from doors and away from windows, windows during this time until we had the all clear. So really want to thank our Rossmore staff. And then I know our principals debrief with them, and like with any situation, we always want to debrief. What could we do better? What are some key takeaways and areas that we could learn? Just like how we thought we could improve with our communication to all of our families as well. So I want to thank our Rossmore staff for all of that. And then really our Director of Safety and Student Services, Dr. Jerry Friedman, who has reached out to Seal Beach and Los Al because they were not aware of the phones of the situation that occurred. He is re-engaging with Orange County Sheriffs as well to do tabletop exercises for a violent intruder response as well. And then our communications PIO, Nicole Bachardo, worked directly into the late evening, Thursday evening, with the PIO from Orange County Sheriff and made sure that we had a meeting with the Sheriff's Department on Friday, the very next day. Actually, within less than 24 hours, our team was able to meet to make sure that we could get the right responses in the future. So thought it would be important to kind of give the full narrative and information to our community on that. And then at our December meeting, I talked a lot about how our students and this community gives so much to our students, but I really talked about the thread of how much our students give back to this community as well, and how they're woven into the various service opportunities that they provide, the giving back of donating different items. And here's just an amazing example of what our students and our school sites and our parents and this community is doing to really rally behind supporting victims and communities affected by the LA fires. And so just a few examples. McAuliffe Middle School and their ASB, they're doing a drive. They still have time through Thursday to really brighten the lives in need. So you can drop off items at McAuliffe Middle School. They're looking for snacks, underwear. They really all want right now new and unused items. What we've heard from all the different agencies right now is they don't need any more used clothing. They're kind of inundated with that. And it's really blankets, bedding, pet supplies, food, non-perishable goods. And another organization I've heard, they're looking for like snacks and protein snacks and things of that sort. Several of our schools are doing coin drives or Coins for Care. McGaw Elementary, their 5th grade Sea Lions are doing a Coins for Care, supporting the American Red Cross of Greater Los Angeles. We have a club at Los Alamitos High School called the Bright Hearts Club. They're doing a Hope Drive. They too are also doing drop-off locations to support families. There's a QR code there. We heard earlier tonight as well when Oak Middle School was presenting that the Oak Middle School is also doing a Penny Wars, and all of the donations of money in the war Penny Wars will go to benefiting those impacted by the California fires. Lee Elementary collected donations that'll be delivered to the Dream Center in Los Angeles. They are also collecting money for food and gift cards to really give to families and first responders and people who are assisting in a variety of ways with the fires. But probably one of the biggest ones and the quickest in terms of really mobilization to make something happen was at Los Alamitos High School, really led in large part by teacher Brandon Hart, who got various service clubs at Los Alamitos High School to really come together and create a synergy. They created on just this past Sunday, January 12th, a donation drive to support the School of the Arts, California School of the Arts in the San Gabriel campus, who they have some connections up there, and over 30 of their families have lost their homes. And so it really was a multitude of clubs, as you can see down below: the Interact Club, Model United Nations, French Club, Speech and Debate Club, World Language Honor Society, LAHS Song and Cheer, along with Mr. Hart and several other teachers and staff on the campus who came together. They ended up filling up, I believe it was 4 U-Hauls. And let me show you, I mean, you would be overwhelmed by this line of people. And we sent it out. We launched it out through our social media. We sent it out district-wide as well. I know our principals shared it as well. And this community just rallied to be able to see what they can do to help support. I believe it was 4 U-Haul trucks that they ended up they drove up to San Gabriel yesterday. The items are still items that were left over that they're going to have to redonate and get another truck. Our local Rotary Club donated $800 and paid for the rentals of the U-Hauls, the gas, and the mileage. And so thank you to our local Rotary Club for doing that as well. And then any other surplus items are going to be distributed locally to the YMCA. And so these is just a snippet of, once again, this community raises amazing kids, and our kids do so much. And I know many of you were there on Sunday to kind of be a part of this donation drive and helping them go through all these boxes and materials and items to help. And I know that this is just scratching the surface. This community and our students and our schools will continue to find ways to help all families and those affected by our fires. So we are such a giving community, and I'm so proud to be part of this community as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Pulver. We all agree. It was absolutely fabulous. So now we're doing board communication. Mrs. Partizani, would you like to begin?
Sure, happy to. Thank you, Madam President. So welcome back. I hope everyone had a great holiday break with family and friends. As a new board member, I think I've touched on this before, my goal is to visit as many schools as I can to better acquaint myself with the staff and the leadership. And this past week, I did a walkthrough at the high school. And thank you to Mrs. Kraus for providing a great snapshot of the classes and the departments at the high school. And what I observed was really a testament to the top-notch education that our students are receiving. My big takeaways that I'd like to share was really one around the support that we provide to our students. There are many resources to support our students, those in high-level academics, as well as those who need additional assistance. One thing that really stood out to me was the leadership's hands-on mentorship approach with students in remedial classes. It really set a powerful example of their commitment to every student's success. So I applaud the leadership at the high school for that. I hope that model of hands-on mentorship for students that are struggling or are at risk is something that we can implement at other schools. The other thing is around cell phones. As you know, that's a passion of mine, as well as it remains a hot topic for our students' learning and wellness. So overall, I observed that our kids were highly engaged across the different classes that I visited. One thing that did stand out to me was that there seems to be a different approach, teacher by teacher and department by department, on the use of cell phones. And I think that we have an opportunity here to establish a more consistent adherence to policy on cell phone use during class and instruction time. Any deviation from that policy should be thoughtful, and it shouldn't be ad hoc to reward students or to pass the time. I also participated in McGaw's STEAM and Astronomy Night. As some of you may know, I have a fifth grader there, and it was an excellent example of how to expose and engage students at a young age in all things science, technology, engineering, and the arts. McGaw PTA, in partnership with their innovation teacher and volunteers, had set up hands-on stations for students to engage with things like coding, using Ozobots, playing piano using the Makey circuit boards, designing a bubble wand, using a 3D pen. And for the grand finale, and this one actually was really near and dear to me, was that students were able to observe the moon and some of the planets guided through passionate astronomer volunteers. This again was really moving to me because I got to reconnect with one of the lead astronomers that helped me launch Astronomy Night at McGaw back in 2020. So it was really nice to see that program continuing and flourishing and becoming even better, because that's the whole point of this. Again, there was an opportunity that I saw, is that we need to support all of our elementary schools to host a similar STEAM event at their schools so that all students can have the opportunity to engage and learn. I think it's a great opportunity for the PTA Council to come together and collaborate. I know a lot of the schools already do it, but if for those schools that aren't, there are definitely resources and people you can reach out to make that happen at your school. Lastly, This past Sunday, I witnessed the best of our community at the Los Al donation drive for our Los Angeles neighbors and families devastated by the fires. Like Dr. Pulver said, there were lines of cars waiting to drop off loads and loads of donations. I thought that there were students, teachers, volunteers, military personnel had given up their downtime, lunch hour to be there to help us collect those donations and to load up those 4 U-Hauls. And it was just, again, what a great way for our students and families to experience firsthand the joy of service and generosity. So thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone who showed up. You made a big difference. So that is my report.
Thank you. Mr. Bragman?
Thank you, Madam President. Before even starting, I would just want to echo the gratitude that Dr. Pulver shared for the issues that arose at Rossmore. I think our staff, and I'll talk about my visit there today, but our staff at Rossmore Elementary, having been a principal, having been a teacher, being currently a parent, safety is our number one priority. We don't have quality schools if we don't have safe schools. And so I appreciate the dedication and the planning of having safe school plans and practicing things like lockdowns and things like that. I heard very clearly from the principal today that while it was an unfortunate situation, we learned from it and it was handled as best we possibly could. So I'm really proud of the work we did. Since our December board meeting, I've had the pleasure of participating in several events and opportunities. Actually, we've heard about some of them already that highlight the outstanding work happening across our district and beyond. I was lucky enough to join Ms. Partisani in that walkthrough as a board member. It's my first one last week at Los Alamitos High School. I visited a variety of classes that showcase the incredible breadth and depth of learning on our campus. From Japanese, French, AP English, advanced jazz, computer science, ceramics, world history, ASL, classes I've never gotten to step foot in before. It was overwhelmingly positive and engaging. I observed students fully engaged in their learning. Their dedication of our educators and enthusiasm of our students were truly inspiring, as was the diversity of opportunities available to help them grow academically, artistically, and personally. It was really fun to hear about students that are on the wrestling team that are also in the performing arts and are really able to be diverse in terms of the ways in which they're showcasing their many, many talents. So it was an amazing visit. It's truly an extraordinary campus. Secondly, I was able to visit Rossmore Elementary this morning, where I experienced vibrant and welcoming school community in action. I had only been on that campus before during LAIF events and during LAIF summer school, but the night pride was truly palpable. The way in which they have their different houses, I almost said classes, they're different houses, and the competitive but fun and united nature of that campus is a joy. It's really, truly fun to just see. Every class was buzzing with energy. One of the things I walked out and I talked to Ms. Colte about is you can tell when people are putting on a show. It was so authentic. It was so real. Every class was loud in a fun way, right? Kids were engaged and having fun. Teachers were engaged. There was volunteers in every single classroom. There was not a class we went into, I don't think, today, maybe one or two, and we saw every class on campus where there wasn't a parent, a retired teacher, a community member that wanted to be there to just help and engage with having these nights do their very best. It was so fun. It was so engaging. It brought me great joy. You could feel that every student felt supported and wrapped around, hugged in order to be able to be encouraged to thrive in their best at Rossmore. So in terms of last week, I also got to join, I know a little easier for us maybe because we have McGaw children. We're going to try and get out to those other STEAM events, but McGaw Elementary's Astronomy and STEAM Night, which was organized by the PTA, was truly a showcase event. It is something that if it's not happening on other campuses could be replicated, and we have a great model of support. It was fun to run into Board Member Portasani and hear about the history of how the Astronomy Night had come to be. I know for me, the telescopes are they bring me joy. I become a little kid again, looking at the rings of Saturn. It's so cool. And it was a night where I think we were first starting to feel the reality of the fires. And so we were met by this beautiful sunset. There was an unfortunate sunset, but I think it was an opportunity for our community to come together and engage and have fun amongst hearing about pretty tragic news. So I think it was really special. It made me really happy as a community member to be there with friends and colleagues and starting to hear about the unfortunate situation happening in Los Angeles. As we heard, the students were exploring the night sky through the telescopes. They were doing 3D printing, the robots. It was just, there was so many hands-on opportunities. What was cool was a lot of it wasn't new for the kids. You could see they were doing this during the regular school day, which again, I think that shows that STEM and STEAM is a part of our daily grind at our schools. Kids are engaging in engineering and the arts, and they're able to translate that and speak to us as parents and tell us why they're doing what they're doing and how it's helping them to engage to be the best students they could be. And I know that'll translate to when they're aerospace engineers one day and they're at Purdue and doing these types of things. So that was really, really cool. It was great to see the spark of creativity growing in students and parents. I think parents see the investment and see that how engaging it is for their kids. Lastly, yesterday, I attended maybe not the most fun webinar, but definitely a necessary one. I attended the California School Boards Association Governor's Budget Proposal webinar. I think having been at CSBA's conference back in December, we heard a lot about the budget and we started to kind of get previews, but to attend that was super informative. The session provided valuable insights into the proposed budget, the potential impact it's going to have on K-12 schools. I think we heard good, bad, surprising, kind of a little bit of everything. That uncertainty remains and information is going to be continuing to come out. I know as a board, we're continuing to get educated. A number of us will be going to a session next week at the Orange County Department of Education. I will be sharing the resources as soon as I get them from CSBA with the board. Our community, I know, will be seeing a lot about the budget in coming meetings. I'm really, truly proud, again, of our district's proactive approach to ensuring the success of our students, schools, and programs. While budgets might be up in the air, we know that students are the center of every decision we make. And so I think that's a key part of what makes this district so amazing. We are trying to make sure that we always keep students at the heart of every decision we make. So I'm excited about the experiences I've had from the past month. It's reinforced my pride in our district. I'm so excited again. This is our second board meeting as new members. And I came into this meeting more excited than the first one, which is cool. I hope it continues to stay that way. So I applaud our staff, our teachers, our students, families for the extraordinary efforts they're putting in. I hope everyone had a good start to the new year, and we have a strong and amazing 2025. We will see challenges, but I know we can overcome them together.
Thank you, Mr. Bragman. Mrs. Hill?
Thank you so much. And I do hope that everybody had a relaxing, rejuvenating holiday break. And we are all back at it. So one of the things that was a great joy to me was to be able to join some of our staff, our classified staff, at the TK Burger truck. And it's a nice thing to do during that week when a lot of other people are off and they're here working. And I know a lot of people think that if schools are closed, everything else is closed, and it doesn't work that way. So, you know, it really goes along with our goal 3 to really make sure that everybody that we engage with the community and staff really feel our appreciation for what they do and how they support all of our students. And then I had the opportunity with my husband, we had a date night, and we went to a LaSalle basketball game. And there were some really amazing things that I observed while I was there. Not just that we scored 100 points, that was pretty darn cool. But really to address and to connect with goal number 2, which is really how are our students connecting? And when I looked around, I realized that yes, we had a basketball team on the court, but we also had song and cheer that were supporting them. We had ASB that were there supporting them. There was a student from choir that actually sang the national anthem. There was an opening film when the players run out and are announced that was created by our video production staff. And it was just really impactful for me to see that and to see all of those things come together. It was amazing at the community members that are there. We have this corner we sit up in, and that's where the old people sit. And there are people from generations gone by that are still come back and come to basketball games. I got a chance to sit with staff. There was staff from the district office, from various schools that were there supporting LaSalle basketball and having a good time with family and friends. And there was alumni. And it's just a really beautiful opportunity to see what connection and community really looks like. And we won. So that's always good. And then we are always focused on the social emotional health of our students. And that's really in our goal number 1. And it's really important. And what the public may not know is that every month we have a specific topic related to wellness that is throughout the district that that is used in classrooms and used in our wellness centers and used with staff. And this year, I love it. This year it's January is creating Healthy Habits Challenge. And for any of you that don't know, I know this because I raised 2 sons and I looked up what does it take to make a healthy habit. And it's 21 days. So if you can make, as the back of this wonderful card says, start with something simple and make a commitment to it and keep it going for 21 days, then you can create some healthy habits. So I'm very grateful to all of staff, and I believe that comes out of Ed Services and how well that's done, and that I just think it's great opportunities for our kids and our families. So, and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Davidson.
Thank you. Mr. Forehand?
Yes. I have experienced many kindness, caregiving events, but the happenings on Sunday was unbelievable. To see our kids there, to see Brandon Hart. I got there at 8 o'clock right away, and Brandon and I looked at each other and said, well, how do you want to organize it? And we had no idea that there would be 4 trucks. Nicole was there working unloading, and staff from various schools in our district. It was just unbelievable. So I thank the community for that. My report is going to be fairly quick, but it's all celebrations. Number 1, celebration to the staff, cafeteria staff, and the noon supervisors and the teachers, especially at the elementary where we were housed inside for lunch for 3 consecutive days. They made it all work. They were smiling for the kids, and it just worked. So thank you to them. Andrew talks a lot about how the community comes together for our kids. Well, the Los Alamitos Youth Center started a program where they're going to have interns, marketing interns. So we have 4 interns and then a senior intern, all from Los Alamitos High School, who will get to apply what they're learning practically for the youth center, and which will affect all our kids. I agree that TK Berger was great. Shows classified staff, you're important, we care about you. Rossmore and Matt said, as a principal myself, I've been through many lockdowns, and it's never easy, but thanks to them, they rallied. I went to boys wrestling, and next time you're going to go with me because I had no idea what we were doing. And one poor kid threw up on the mat, and I said, oh my God, what's wrong with this sport? Anyway, but I want to shout out, and you did a great job, Diana, on the girls basketball. Saturday, I went to the game, and what they had created, and the boosters are just incredible, especially Troy Yashida. He's the varsity girls booster. He is organizing this structure where they're all coming together, all 3 teams, parents come together to support each other and build the camaraderie. And it just was heartwarming to see them, and they won. So that's good too, varsity. I think all 3 levels won. Nicole and I represented the board, and we went out to thank Focus Studios, Connor Brown. Nicole was in charge of pizza. I was in charge of 100,000-gram candy bars, but we gave our first, on behalf of the board, an Oscar to Connor Brown for Best Visual Production, his Christmas video, holiday video, which moved us all. So that was great. We have 2 kids now. The Gazette is now expanding itself, the Los Al High School Gazette, to do not only their written work, but they're doing video productions. And Lily and Isabella won the School News Network Award for Best Video for the signing of the beam that we rose. That's right, for the new gym. And then lastly, I was at Lee today in 4th grade doing my Papa Art, but that wasn't the important part. What I saw later in the session was we have a new student at Lee, Sejong, from Korea, and how those kids sitting next to him have rallied, and the whole class has rallied to make this little guy, 4th grader, who speaks no English, understand what's going on. There's signs throughout the classroom with Korean underneath what English it says. But what caught me was not only that James and Audrey, 2 seatmates, were able to go on Google and translate into Korean exactly what I said to the class. And then the teacher, Mrs. Williams, she sat there after we were done with art, and she showed him how to access Google Documents in Korean. And then she said, you know what else I did? We're about to start the Island of the Blue Dolphin reading. She went online, figured out how to get that text on his laptop in Korean. So he'll be able to follow along. And I said in a note I wrote her, I said, this is way beyond the Los Al way. It's just what we do to make a difference for kids. So that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Forehand. So I had just 2 areas I wanted to focus on, but when you're president, you come last. A lot of things are already talked about. So obviously I wanted to say thank you to the community for Sunday. I think last week when it started out, the universal question was, what can I do? I mean, just at a very gut level, we all wanted to know, what could we do? And so to see everybody rally in such a rapid way, we saw Brandon at Costco on Saturday, and he said, Marlis, I don't think 1 truck is going to be enough. I'm really concerned. So I said, that's a problem everybody should want to have. Well, it'll be figured out. But people all over the community, we had neighbors and friends who weren't able to come on Sunday morning. So all day Saturday, they dropped off stuff at our house. And we pulled our cars up, and they were packed to the max. But with it, like I would say, it was 2 seconds. Both cars were emptied. And there was just such beauty and humor in it because the piles were so high, and every once in a while, a high school student would emerge from the pile. I mean, they were trying to sort out clothes and figure out where everything goes. And some of those girls were so petite and little, they almost got lost in the shuffle. But what a great problem to have to tell people we can't take any more within about an hour and a half of when you started. So I thank Brandon Hart. I thank all of the clubs and all of the community members who volunteered. And to those of you that were there digging in, thank you. But I really do appreciate how it evolves and that our schools are now collecting dog food and change. And so things that really are practically needed. So it's a very wonderful thing, but it's going to go on for a long time, and we're going to have to figure out more ways to evolve in our support. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was to recognize the great work of a program that I just recently joined. Last Wednesday, I was sworn in to the Board of Trustees for the North Orange County Regional Occupational Program. Now, this is a board that Meg Catulli, our beloved former board member, was on for 20 years. So her passion and knowledge was so infectious to me that when she decided to not run again, I knew that, if at all possible, that was a position that I would really like to pursue. I don't expect, there's no chance on earth I'm ever going to fill her shoes. I'm not even going to try and put a toe in them, but I am going to do the best that I can to support that program and bring more of it to our students. Going forward, I'd like to share specifics about it, but I'm just learning, and I'm going to be learning more about our CTE programs at our school. This presents outstanding opportunities for the students of the 5 districts working collaboratively to provide hands-on learning experiences that develop skills relevant to today's economy. It is the aim of the program, and I think this message needs to go out so that every parent and student understands, because I think we think of ROP as an alternative to college. It's not. It's not. It's so much more than that. But the aim of the program is to make sure every high school student in each of our districts will have access to a sequence of rigorous and relevant career technical courses. These courses, taught by experienced and engaging instructors, will enrich students' high school experience and provide them with the career compass needed to navigate a challenging future. The world of what was available to you when I graduated so many decades ago was you could make a list. Now we don't even know what's available to our kids. We don't even know professions exist that they could pursue. Important to note that certain ROP courses meet UC-approved A to G admission requirements. Designated ROP courses meet the UC Laboratory Science, D, UC Visual and Performing Arts, F, and UC Language and other than English, E, or UC Elective, G requirements for admission. So pursuing anything in ROP is not necessarily to the detriment of your transcript or your academic future. It's an enhancement. I'll highlight opportunities in such areas as biotechnology, construction and site management. I saw a presentation of these kids building from scratch small houses. Engineering, culinary arts, cybersecurity, biomedical tech, fire science, and more will be shared in coming meetings. Tonight, I just want to briefly share in the invaluable program objectives that every child should carry with them and could carry with them for a lifetime. Think about how, as parents, what we would want for our kids to develop internally, the soft skills we want them to have. Make connections between abstract concepts with real-world applications. Recognize the value of academic preparation for solving problems. Communicate clearly, effectively, with reason. Utilize critical thinking to make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. Model integrity, ethical leadership, and effective management. Work productively in teams while integrating cultural and global competence. Demonstrate creativity and innovation. Employ valid and reliable research strategies. Understand the environmental, social, and economic impacts of your decisions. Who wouldn't want your child to have those skills internalized within them? In the next two presentations, I saw one in engineering and the other in construction and site management. In those two, I witnessed students manifesting all of these behaviors, and I look forward to sharing more. So that's my plan, is to share what I can get out of ROP that could maybe benefit our students, and hopefully parents really pay attention that this is a whole new avenue that is way far beyond auto shop and home ec. It's literally cybersecurity. I wish I could go back to school. It sounds fascinating because inside me, I always wanted to be a spy. So, so anyway, thank you. But I do have one last thing. Congratulations to Dr. Pulver, and congratulations to our community, because on Friday he will be sworn in as co-president of the Chamber of Commerce, because he believes connectedness of our district to the community is what creates the values and unity that we all share and love. So congratulations. Okay, we have no cards. Oh, we have recess. Are we going to pass on recess? Okay. So I don't believe we have any cards, do we, for public comment? So we'll move to information and presentations. And Mrs. Reed, you've got a few of them.
So this evening, we're bringing forward quite a few supplemental materials, actually. And so two of them actually are the same novel, but one in French and one in Spanish, that are going to be on public preview for the next 30 days for use in our French one and Spanish one classrooms. And they were chosen by our staff because of their comprehensible language, their present tense narration, their high frequency vocabulary that they expose students to, as well as their ability to engage in conversations around culture, geography, and history in a way that reinforces language skills as we're building biliteracy in our classrooms. And so those two novels will be on public preview for the next 30 days. Perfect. Our next set of supplemental materials that we're bringing forward are actually 3 screeners that are part of a new Senate Assembly Bill 114 that was passed 2 school years ago, but will go into full implementation next school year in the 25-26 school year. And it really outlines for school districts this need to screen all students universally in kindergarten, first and second grade for characteristics that are commonly associated with dyslexia in students. And so the State Board of Education passed a list of approved screeners, 4 in total. One of the screeners happens to be already included inside our textbook adoption that we previously adopted last year for our elementary students, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, into reading, and it's the Amira screener. But there are 3 other screeners on that list. The first one being M-Class, the second one being Multitudes, and the third being Roar, that are also approved by the state to use as universal screeners. And so as we are continuing to investigate and put together a prescribed course of action by the end of this school year so that we can clearly communicate with our families next school year as these screeners begin to be implemented in classrooms, we're bringing forward all of the potential screeners for public preview so that they will all be options for us as we conclude our work around designing a plan for implementation and then also for parental notification as we move into next school year.
I did. I just also want to say and let the public know that probably about a year ago, you did a workshop on this bill and what that would mean for our district and how we would have to bring that forward. So I really appreciate that work has been ongoing. We saw the workshop, great, and you've been working on it ever since. So thank you very much for that.
And the issue of dyslexia is so complex. When my daughter was little, she wrote her name backwards. So I went to my friend who was a learning specialist and said she's got dyslexia. And she said, "Do you want to know what dyslexia is?" And she handed me a binder this thick. It's not so easy to diagnose as writing a name backwards. So thank you for providing the training and the tools for our teachers to help the children who need it. So thank you. Oh, sorry. My husband tells me I have a really loud mouth, but so okay. Now we are moving on to our quarterly report on uniform complaints. Dr. Weiswright.
Thank you, Madam President. We are pleased to report that we received no complaints for the previous quarter, which ran from October 1st to December 31st, 2024.
Well, that's good news. Yeah. So, and now Elvia, we're doing faculty facilities project presentation.
Yes, I'm honored to call Mr. CJ Nolan, our Director of Facilities, Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation, who's going to provide to the board a facilities update.
Good evening, President Davidson and esteemed members of the board. Thank you for being with us this opportunity to present an update on our current and upcoming facilities projects that we have in store. Tonight, I'm hoping to give a comprehensive view of the projects we currently have under construction and what we have planned in the future this summer and a little bit beyond that as well. Just to start us off, this is a broad list of all of our current projects and projects we have planned or scheduled to take place over this summer or the summer after, following summer. These projects right now are ranging from our deferred maintenance projects to our new 3-court gymnasium, and we're continuing on with our classroom renovations at the high school. As you can see, the 3-court gymnasium is scheduled to be completed this summer, and we are also doing those classroom renovations this summer as well. The STEM restrooms the construction is actively ongoing, and it should be completing this month. I believe we are scheduling our punch list walk this week. The McGaw PTA funded new playground is under design, and we are scheduled to complete the design this spring, and we're hoping to start building this summer. Moving on to Hopkinson, the asphalt replacement is also another summer project. And then some of the projects that we have a little bit further out where we're in the design stages are the high school's campus-wide restroom renovations and the Performing Arts Center upgrades. So as we go through, I will get into more detail on each of these. Starting off with the three-court gymnasium, if you recall, we did have that topping out ceremony, and that was really symbolizing the completion of the structural steel for the project. Following that, we began our exterior framing. Now that's all the framing outside of the concrete tilt-up walls, which would be like your lobby area and your corridor and your restrooms that are really exterior to that large concrete building shell. We have actually started our roofing and waterproofing this week, and we'll be finishing that over the next several weeks, hopefully by the end of February. As of now, we are currently on schedule with the project scheduled to complete this summer. As we go through the three-court gymnasium, I wanted to give you guys a view of the inside of the gymnasium so you can really get an idea of how big it is. Now, towards the back of that picture, there's actually people there. So that really just shows how big it is. Now, you can also see ductwork on the floor. So we'll be installing our HVAC system for the court spaces this week and the weeks coming as well. You can also see the framing that's gone on inside the concrete tilt-up panels as well. That allows us to run all our utilities and everything through our walls for the infrastructure for the gymnasium. Moving on to the outside of our building, one of the items that we've been currently and actively working on is the exterior scoreboard that services our track and field sports. If you recall, at the start of the bond, we had 3 scoreboard projects with the baseball field, the softball field, and this is the final scoreboard project that is being implemented and packaged with the gymnasium. So one of the things that we really wanted to make sure is if we're going to be installing a video display board, we wanted to make sure it'd be visible to the people in the stands. So as you can see on that picture on the right-hand side, the red square is actually the existing scoreboard. So as we built the gymnasium, we never removed the existing scoreboard that has always served our track and field. We wanted to leave that in place so that as we constructed those exterior walls, we could really get a clear visualization of where this new scoreboard will be and the visibility that it will have from the field, from the stands, and any sport that it's servicing. This new video display scoreboard is going to approximately provide twice as large of a display area than our existing scoreboard, and it will be a video display, which means you could have active images, video, and everything that you would associate with that. As of now, the structural components to support this scoreboard are currently being designed. I believe we do have a scope amendment from one of our architects on the board agenda for this evening, because as we have selected our scoreboard, we have to provide those structural elements to support it. I was even surprised as we went through and finalized this selection. Scoreboard weighs north of 3,000 pounds. So we really need to make sure it's supported. And our design team is doing just that.
And I just want to stop, if you can go back, just to remind the board. Remember, even though we think of this as the gym, that this scoreboard is not servicing the gym. This is for the field, which is soccer, lacrosse, track and field, any sport that is utilizing the track and field area that this potentially our middle school promotions, which that video display might be able to be utilized in different areas, so baccalaureate, et cetera. So it really is, even though we think of it as a gym project, it's for the ancillary spaces outside of it.
May I ask a quick question regarding the scoreboards? Since we have a functioning scoreboard with like down and distance information for football, and we're now hosting football games, is there thoughts on leaving that and then having the video as an additional board?
We have had discussions internally with our facilities department on possibly relocating it. We haven't talked to any site staff or anything like that. Because
we've had a lot of problems with that board. It's pretty old. We have been, it probably should have been one of the boards we replaced sooner, but knowing we were building the gym, we didn't want to put good money after bad and that it could go right there. So we were limping it along, I believe, to the best of my knowledge.
Yes.
it didn't, yeah.
Going on to the next component of our three-court gymnasium is our weight room. Now, starting off with the weight room equipment, as you can see, this would be the layout for that weight room equipment. Each one of those black squares with the LA in the middle is an Olympic-style weightlifting rack. And first and foremost, I wanted to thank Ken Maggi and his family. They are really supporting us purchasing this weight room equipment through a donation that is honoring his memory. He was one of our dedicated custodians, and his family is generously donating so that we are able to purchase this weight room equipment. So as you can see, we'll have a full Olympic style weightlifting equipment in our weight room. On the right and left hand side, we have roll-up doors where we'll have areas where you could do plyometrics or other activities like that as well. With the weight room equipment, we are currently working with our contractor to install the high impact pads that would go below the Olympic style equipment. That is the black square with the LA inside of it. So when talking to our coaching staff and the high school administrators, we really want to make sure we have a flush floor so that there's no platform that sits on top of our weight room floor. That could be a tripping hazard when you have such heavy weights around and a lot of people or full teams. So like I said, we are working with our contractor to make those cuts into the weight room floor and incorporate those high impact pads. With the scoreboard and the weight room floor and the weight equipment, these are both items that are not part of the original scope of the project. So we will be working with a contractor to provide pricing and make a recommendation following that. As you may recall, a lot of our contingency was used to mitigate the soils at the beginning portion of this project. So as we're having to make decisions on some of these owner-directed changes, we are really trying to work on the price and inform and communicate with the board prior to moving forward.
And just to clarify, the scoreboard was a part of the original, but it was a much smaller scoreboard. It was the existing size of our current scoreboard. And as we looked, we thought we should get the biggest board that is possible because the stands are pretty far away. And so in doing so, that is the change order because it's twice the size and you'll need to have the structural component to it. But we're only going to hopefully do it once. And then with these pads, we would have spent the money, a different set of money. They just would have been in construction. They would have been equipment that we would have purchased outside of the bid to be able to have this. But this is, we believe from our staff, a better way to house these high impact.
Correct. If you look at a lot of the modern weight rooms, they are all flush or integrated floor systems that would support the Olympic style weight racks. And if you recall, we're currently using a portable classroom to do a lot of this lifting. And I think at least 4 of the summers I've been here, we've had to repair that floor because weights have gone straight through it.
So while the change order here, we already budgeted in a different section of our budget, the equipment that we would need to put the protections underneath it. So this just built it into the construction as opposed to. So it'll be a change, but not really.
That is correct. So yeah, as we are completing this project for the gymnasium, we really are trying to make any owner-directed changes are to significantly improve the facility and the utilization for our students. Moving on to the classroom renovations, this summer we'll be doing the 500s, 700s, and PAC classrooms. Starting off with the 700s building, with this being one of the newer buildings on our campus, this portion of the renovations is a little bit more limited than some of our previous renovations. From working with our site staff and administrators, we've really identified the corridor as needing new flooring, new paint, and new ceiling tiles, while the carpet and the flooring in a lot of these classrooms was replaced approximately 4 to 5 years ago. In addition, in each of the classrooms, we're going to be replacing all of the classroom clocks and the PA speakers. So this is one of the only areas on our campus that is operating on a different system of PA speakers. They all work together, but it'll be much easier for IT and for our maintenance staff when working on it if they were all the same. So we will be upgrading those in each of those classrooms as well. On the 500s building, we will be doing our last roof replacement for the campus. And this 500s building doesn't really have too much in terms of classrooms, but we do have a dance room that serves as an arts classroom. And one of the needs that we've seen from speaking with staff is that flooring really needs to be replaced. So right now we are scheduling and trying to get proposals to replace that flooring this summer, if not maybe a little sooner, depending on what our dance program schedule is for this summer. So we're working with our staff to really make sure we're able to isolate some of these areas to mitigate any impacts that it would have to their programs. Moving on to the PAC classrooms, offices, and changing rooms. The PAC is one of our oldest and least upgraded buildings on our campus and requires quite a bit of work. So that's why we are touching it in some aspects through our classroom renovations. And then as you'll see in upcoming slides, we'll be doing broader work to the stage area as well. So in these classrooms, we are going to continue with doing new flooring, new paint, and new ceiling tiles. In addition, we will be doing acoustical wall treatments to improve the acoustics of the jazz and the band room. And as you can see on the right-hand side, we have a layout of the Performing Arts Center. And the areas in green are the areas that we are trying to improve those finishes with new flooring, paint, and ceiling tiles. It really kind of expanded into the corridors, our changing rooms, and some of those offices as well. As we walked and worked with staff to really identify the needs for these spaces, our staff did request some things that we wouldn't be able to do as part of this project necessarily, because we are not going to DSA. So some of these items might be our new instrument lockers, removal of practice rooms, which would require removing several walls inside of the classroom, and some significant improvements to our black box. As we continue to our next slide, we are having a separate project where we will be incorporating a lot of our Performing Arts Center upgrades that require DSA approval. So our thought after hearing back from staff is we will incorporate the items that we can't do through classroom renovations as part of this project. So I'm going to start with our current scope for this project. We have new dimmable house lights over the seating area, new stage lighting on a DMX data distribution system, upgraded power circuitry, replacement of overstage work lights, room acoustics, which would include those wall treatments and ceiling treatments. Now in the Performing Arts Center, the walls and these ceilings are much higher, and these room acoustics will be much more significant than what we would be doing in the band and jazz classrooms this summer. The motorized stage lighting rigging over the audience, and our new and upgraded audio-visual equipment, new seating, and additional restrooms at the exterior wings of the PAC. So one of our primary concerns with bringing an older building like this to DSA with our restrooms is we would have to bring them up to current code. Our current restrooms are very likely to turn into single-use restrooms in order to really meet all the ADA dimensional requirements for a restroom in terms of grab bar, turning space, and all of that. So we were looking at ways that we could add additional restrooms. And in previous presentations, I believe I've shared layouts where we were looking at adding restrooms in the courtyard spaces on the left and the right-hand side of the Performing Arts Center. On the right-hand side, you could see some potential added scope. So I included some of the improvements that were identified through the classroom renovation process. And I've also included some improvements that we are anticipating to come directly from DSA. So over the winter break, our design team conducted what's called a code analysis for the building. Essentially what they do is they go into the building and they find everywhere where it's not meeting current building code. And as you can guess, that's quite a significant list. So we are whittling through that, and we're preparing to have a pre-application meeting with DSA in the next couple of weeks. And we'll be able to really identify what their requirements are going to be from us. And that way we could design and incorporate a project to meet their needs that they're requiring, and also meet ours that are needed for the Performing Arts Center. Our current project allocation for this project is $12 million. Right now, we are scheduled to submit our plans to DSA this summer of 2025. Now, with a project like this, DSA takes quite a bit of time to review. My best estimate would be anywhere from like 2 to 4 months of review. So as soon as we got approved plans, after that, we would be going through a bidding process to begin construction.
And I just want to remind the board, really good news is we had one of the last times we had talked about, I think even at the earlier state of the district or sometime we'd said the allocation was going to be about $8 million for the PAC. And as we've received more seismic mitigation, $3 to $4 million from the state, some other smaller matching funds for some of the playground or other smaller things, we've been able to bring that over into our facility dollars. And so we now have been able to increase it from an $8 million budget to a $12 million budget. We're not sure what all of these, what the full, we don't have a budget yet of what the scope of this work will be, but we know right now we have $12 million that we've been able to allocate to this project. So I think that's really positive to have that increase from 8 to 12 million.
I just want to say really quickly that I don't think very many districts have the management that we have in our projects like this, because we started out being told and looking at the scope of work and only thinking we could build the gym. And then through hard work, innovation, hard work for facility, for Mr. Schmear's department, it's getting, yes, fiscal, thank you, it's getting late. Now the weight room that we didn't think we were going to be able to build, we're building. And now, obviously, if you find an extra $50 or $60 million, we can make a new PAC. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that, but I just am really impressed and really grateful that you are so mindful of the public's money and finding the best way to be able to do it, and constantly finding those matching funds so that we can get these projects done, but not setting unrealistic expectations from the beginning.
And just a reminder that the majority of these dollars, they're either bond dollars, matching fund dollars from the state, or the seismic mitigation funds, which can only be used on facilities. So it's not as though that any of these dollars, because I know we've been talking about at the December meeting about we have to create a budget plan. We're talking about, we've been talking with our employees, partners of layoffs, as we have to start to downsize and right-size our staffing based upon our enrollment decline. But these dollars can only be spent on facility projects. And so they can't cross-contaminate.
Thank you.
Moving on with our next project at the high school. Now, this one is also a little bit further out. We're in the early design process for this. If you recall, last year we started a schematic design to really look at our restrooms campus-wide. Now, I created a little bit of a legend on the left-hand side and areas or restrooms on the campus map on the right-hand side that identifies kind of the work that we're looking to do throughout our campus. I'm starting off, we are looking to renovate all of our existing restrooms, which are highlighted in green. And you can see those are kind of sporadic throughout the campus. And we're also looking to relocate our modular restroom that is at the existing gymnasium. Right now, with where it's sitting, it'll be right in front of our brand new gymnasium. And we really feel like what's that? exactly, and the new gym will have restrooms. And we really feel like we could use this modular restroom building to serve the pool area and the back side of the gymnasium as a space for students and staff, if needed, to use the restroom. In the purple, in the 400s building, which is on the lower right, we are looking to install a new single-use restroom for our life skills classes. While we were doing the renovations for building 400, we had to make some plumbing upgrades to accommodate their equipment, like their dishwashers, their washing machines. So while we were doing that, we also left connections to someday be open to doing a restroom in one of the office or back portions of that building. With our life skills classes, a lot of these students have special needs. They need wheelchair lifts or other equipment to use the restroom. So we wanted to make sure that was located close to their classroom. In addition to that, we were looking to add a new restroom at Building 800 near our softball field. That seems to be an area that is just distant from any other restrooms on the campus. While we have one single-use restroom, it's on the other side of the 800 building. We're looking for opportunities where we might be able to expand that and make it available to the softball side of that building as well. There's also some other areas near the tennis courts, but really as we jump into design with an architect, we're going to really explore where the best location is for an additional restroom there as well. And covered under some of our other projects, these are other restroom needs for our campus. The additional PAC restrooms, I wouldn't want to forget about those because I know those are a high demand item. Those are, like I said, located on the left and right-hand side of the PAC in blue. And then our staff restrooms at the STEM building. So we added 2 new staff restrooms on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the STEM building. And that project is completing this week or this month. I believe it's substantially complete already. So at the next board meeting in February, we will be bringing a design contract for this restroom renovation project. With a project like this, we will be looking to submit to DSA hopefully by this summer. Again, they will have a 2 to 3 month review period on this design as well. And then what we would really have to plan and phase is how we want to incorporate this work. Because with a campus-wide project like this, you're really going to want to phase each of these components so that there's always restrooms available and we're not shutting down too much at any given time. And next on our project list for the high school are some of our campus-wide exterior renovations. I do want to preface that this is a project that is in its very early planning stages. There have not been funds allocated toward it or a schedule put in place for it. But as we are completing a lot of our other campus classroom renovations, it's becoming somewhat clear that we have some campus-wide exterior renovations that need to take place as well. So these are some of the items that we've identified from working with staff at the high school and with our facilities team. On our campus, we have some red tile accents that previously matched the style of our older buildings. With our newer buildings of the gymnasium and the multi-story STEM building, we have brick veneer. What we would be looking to do is replace those red tile with more collegiate aesthetic of brick veneer and really tying the rest of the campus together. Continuing down the list, we want to continue removing our portable classrooms if they're unneeded. So as part of the gymnasium project, we tried to reuse some of our modular classrooms and we located them to the back of the tennis courts to be used as storage in some of our maintenance yard. So that provides an opportunity to kind of reevaluate our 800s portable classrooms and some other areas where we will be moving storage items from there to the newly completed storage area behind the tennis courts. And with that would be, some of these might be a little bit further away, but in the grand master plan for the campus, we really wanted to stick with the theme that the STEM multi-story building was the face of academics, and the new Griffin Center Gymnasium is going to be the face for athletics for the campus. Dividing both of those would be our fire lane, which right now is kind of an eyesore. It's asphalt, it's pretty beat up, but in a renovation with the funding, it would be something where we could install a promenade that would be more of a decorative piece where students can go throughout their day, whether they're going to athletics or class, and really congregate on campus, which leads right into the next item that has been brought up by staff over the last several years, is a lunch pavilion and outdoor student seating behind the Performing Arts Center. We have quite a large grass area, and we have a Performing Arts Center that has a stage that opens towards the back side as well. So we would really like to make that more usable for our Performing Arts Center students, and at the same time achieve a goal of providing an area where students can have lunch together, sit together, and really have a place to hang out on our campus. Furthermore, one of the last items we have is just exterior painting and campus branding. This can go on through similar to how we're working on the branding process for our STEM building, but maybe getting a broader approach for the whole campus as well. Like I said, this project is very early in its planning phase. We're just really compiling all of the things we've heard over the last year or two. And we're working with staff, and we're going to be trying to see what a dollar amount for this project would look like. But it would not be something that we would be scheduling for the next, I would say, year, 2 years.
Yeah, we'd have to make sure we have enough dollars, leftover facility dollars, to be able to tackle that. So obviously prioritizing all the other ones first.
And moving on to Hopkinson Elementary School, our asphalt replacement project. Now, this is a deferred maintenance project that we are working with a design team to create a plan to resurface, remove, and replace all of the aging asphalt on the campus. If you recall, approximately 2 years ago, we had this project slated, but we had to postpone it, and we slurried this asphalt, which we were hoping to hold us over for about 2 years. Now that slurry top coat is starting to fade, and we'll be replacing the asphalt this summer. What we have done is we've worked with our design team to walk the entire campus, identify areas where the asphalt needs to be completely removed and replaced, and areas where it could be grinded down 2 inches or so, and put a new top layer of asphalt over the ground down asphalt. In addition to that, from talking to the site, we will be installing a new ball wall and providing some additional asphalt areas beneath the solar arrays. This project is currently allocated $750,000, and it is scheduled to begin this summer. So right now we're really working on completing our design and getting that project into DSA for their review by March. And moving on to McGaw, we have our new PTA funded playground. So over the last year, we've worked closely with the McGaw PTA to really budget and make use of some of the funds that they had to install an additional playground on their campus. Now this new playground does have to go to DSA because we have to provide accessibility to all of our students. It will have rubberized flooring and a new pad that the playground structure sits on as well. The playground structure was ordered prior to the end of 2024, so that we were able to secure the lower pricing for the structure itself, and we are currently submitting to DSA this spring as well. Construction is tentatively scheduled to begin this summer. All right, so that leads us to the conclusion of all the projects we have going on and have coming up over the next several years. And at this time, if you guys have any questions, feel free.
I have one quick question, just going back to, maybe I'm all about repurposing things. The modulars or the portables that are in the high school, I know that's that longer term project. Mm-hmm. Are those, do we currently own all of those? Okay, so we either remove them, move them.
Yeah.
Could you sell them? Is that even a possibility? For
Usually,
$1, maybe we just scrap them instead.
it's difficult to sell them. There's sometimes liability that comes with that as well. A lot of times what we can negotiate and what I've negotiated in the past is to have someone pick them up and remove them without charge, which is a huge favor all in itself if you don't want them there. But in certain opportunities, like with the gymnasium, we do try to see if we could repurpose them for either maintenance needs. Repurposing them into a classroom sets a new set of DSA requirements where sometimes that becomes, the cost benefit of that doesn't really shake out. But we do try to repurpose them when possible.
CJ, thank you. That was phenomenal. You really did a wonderful, detailed presentation. It was extremely informative and it's very exciting. So thank you. Diana put it perfectly. Thank you for doing so well with the money. Really, that makes a huge difference. How uplifting is it that we get half again, the $4 million to use on the gym, on the PAC, when that's been kind of a sad part. We all wanted that money there, and all of a sudden it appears. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I really have to thank Elvia for most of that.
Elvia, you're amazing.
I'm the spender and she's the finder.
Yeah, no, it's a great team. Great team. Thank you so much. Any other questions? No? Thank you. So now we're moving on to consent items. We have a pull for 10B and 10C. So do I have a motion for consent on 10A and D through N? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. So then we move to our first pulled item B, which was approval to issue the school accountability report cards. And I know Diana and I both wanted to pull it. So Diana, please.
Well, first of all,
I'm sorry, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Great. And I just really wanted to point this out, that there's a lot of work that goes into these school accountability report cards, and they're unique to each site. And they're done at the site. And so I think it's a great opportunity for parents who may be wanting to look at different schools to get a feel for maybe the different culture that might be at a school, different demographics that are at schools. And I'm just really appreciative that we have this information, and always well done. And so I just wanted to point that out and say thank you for all that work that is done, and it's done every year. And it is interesting to really watch how that shifts a little bit. So, and I did notice that we are, now I can't remember, I think we're more male dominated, but not by much across the board. 0.5%. Yeah, something like that. But I thought that was interesting. Thank you, Mrs. Davidson.
Thank you. Yeah, I echo what she says. I think having just gone through the campaign, the election period, you always hear from people in the community, they don't know what's going on, or they don't know that information isn't available to them. And this report comes out every single year from every single campus with in-depth data. It's like 20 pages of teeny, it's not even 11 font, tiny font. And it covers everything from what she was saying. It talks about, when curriculum was approved, when textbooks were approved. It talks about the demographics of every school. It talks about test scores, not only academic, but physical fitness test scores. It's just, and it goes by grade level. So if you're looking at middle school, it'll tell you 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so much work. I really thank and applaud the district office and each site administration for the amount of work and research and collection of data that goes into this. And I agree, if anybody has any curiosity at all about what's going on in campuses, this is a fabulous resource, and it's not hidden away on some bookshelf. It's online. You can get it. It's attached to the agenda for tonight. So really thank you to all of you who worked so hard.
Largely Mrs. Davis in
Oh, I
ed
thought you were saying
services.
Davidson. I was going, no, not really. No, so Melissa, she isn't here, but thank you, Melissa, because it is a gigantic task and we're very appreciative. McCullough's was 20 pages long, so that's a lot of information. Thank you.
Ms. Davidson. Oh, good.
Sorry, I have a quick question. Do we know if all districts do this, or is this unique to us? It's required. Okay.
Yes, it is required and required to also make sure it's publicly available as well.
That's great.
And I think if any parents or community members are interested in both looking at it and understanding it, but also driving how it can change the way things function on campus, get involved, go to school site council meetings. I know we review it as a former member of the school site council at McGaw. We spent a lot of time going over it with Ms. Wood and Mr. Larson, talking about the SARC and how it drove our school plan for student achievement. So the SIPSA also is driven by these results. So I'd definitely say encourage people that are out there watching on YouTube. Join the school site council, run for school site council. It's a great way to be involved, or just attend their public meetings.
And I love that it incorporated physical fitness, activities, everything, the whole person, the whole child. So thank you. And the culture of the school, yes. So we need to vote now. Anybody else have a comment? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. The next item C is approval to submit a consolidated application. That's going to be moved to action 11AA, so we still will be addressing it just later.
Yes, but Madam President, you do need a motion from the
move it.
board and a second and a vote to move that item into action, and it would be moved to action item 11AA.
I so move.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. And that moves us to our action items. And the first one is approval of a textbook. And Mrs. Reed, would you like to take that?
Thank you. 11A is going to be action on storylines, which is our biology textbook. That's been on public preview with Ed Services for the past 30 days. And so there's no change to that request. It's at no cost to the district, and it would replace our current biology textbook and keep us aligned with the NGS aligned curriculum for the state of California. Our second textbook is our Myers Psychology by Bedford. It's the Freeman and Worth edition that's newly aligned to the new AP Psychology College Board examination that our students take. And so it's relevant to our course content. It's also been on public preview with Ed Services for the last 30 days.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I just want to say that AP Psychology textbook, I apologize, I didn't bring it back. It's very heavy, but it's absolutely exceptional. My grandniece just graduated from college with a degree in psychology, and she will say that AP class was her favorite. And I think she would have loved this textbook because it's absolutely fascinating. The end of every chapter, the kinds of questions, what they ask you to question, to research, to do, to work collaboratively on is so advanced. So I'm really excited for the kids to have this opportunity.
I think also just to note with the biology course, during our visit to the high school last week, we heard excitement around being able to implement that and from a teacher that had piloted it. So that's wonderful to hear the staff input in loving the new curriculum coming.
Anybody else? So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. And now we're looking at approval of supplemental materials. Mrs. Reed?
Thank you so much, President Davidson. So we're also bringing forward CK12. It's also a supplemental biology curriculum that will supplement our storylines adoption that we're bringing forward to give teachers more resources and activities and lab sources that they can use within their biology classes. It's also at no cost to the district as part of a curricular for free movement in the state of California. And so that's also been on public preview for the past 30 days.
Thank you. Do I hear a
So
motion?
moved.
Any discussion?
I don't know what this movement is, but I really like this movement
Yeah, good.
of no cost to the district. I'm on board. On board.
Approved. The PAC, that's the PAC.
PAC, no cost to the district.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. Now, Mrs. Schnur, you're going to talk to us about a resolution authorizing signatures. Do you want to explain about that?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Every year we have to notify the Orange County Department of Ed any changes in district personnel, as well as board members, new board members, presidents, vice presidents, and that usually happens in the December board meeting. So in January, every year we have to bring this resolution notifying the county office of those changes and updated signatures.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion for approval? Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote?
Correct. Mrs. Parasani?
Yes.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Forehand? Aye. And Mr. Bragman?
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0. We're now looking at approval of a large number of job descriptions, and in looking at it, they're interesting, but they're not gigantically different. So, Dr. Wieswright, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Tonight we're bringing forward 15 job descriptions that are under our maintenance and operations job classification series for our classified personnel. The background on that is we're very fortunate to have a great relationship with CSEA, with both of our bargaining teams, but in this case with CSEA. And last year, we agreed to revise contract language that says that each classification series for our classified personnel will be updated one series at a time annually, so that minimally you'll get updated every 7 years. However, to start, we committed to this year revising all of the job descriptions. And so we surveyed all classified staff, gave them an opportunity to give input on their job description, and then we have formed subcommittees with representatives within each classification series, as well as relevant managers that oversee those different series. And we've been meeting in small groups for 2 or 3 hours at a time to kind of go through and make changes and update each of the job descriptions. Once those recommendations are made, and the recommendations are just to the description themselves, to the representative duties, maybe to make them more current, to some of the background and knowledge and experience that are needed. They're not making any recommendations to like a salary range change or a salary placement. So we take those recommendations with the descriptions to the Personnel Commission. They review them. Their role really is to make sure that the job descriptions are in line within our classification series appropriately. They double check for errors to make sure that anything that the committee is recommending doesn't violate any of our rules and regulations. And then once they've approved it, which they've now approved this series, we bring them forward for board approval. And then with your approval, they get posted on our website effective tomorrow.
Thank you. That was an excellent explanation of a very complex process. So thank you so much. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve all of them together, E through T. Do I have a motion?
I so move that we accept them all together, E through T.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we move on to approval of warrants. Warrants are the bills that we pay. This month was a smaller list because we had the 2-week break, so there weren't so many pages, but there are a lot of warrants, and we do go through them before. We don't just automatically rubber stamp this. So, and we can ask questions about any of them. And thank you, Elvia, for having fabulous answers, so we understand. Do I have a motion for approval of warrants? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Is there any discussion?
33 pages.
33 pages. That was down from like 49.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like 33 pages.
Teeny tiny single space 6 font. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. And now I'm turning it to, acceptance of donations. This is the really fun part. It's so wonderful. We already talked about the generosity of this community, and it extends every single month to what we see on this screen, where organizations, individuals, groups donate to our district. For this month, it was $9,806.48, bringing us to a school year total of $265,153.76. Thank you very much. Thank you for your beautiful hearts. Do I have a motion for approval? So moved. Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Excuse me. Now we are looking at our personnel reports, and Dr. Weisreich, would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Tonight we're bringing forward the 3 personnel reports. Sorry. No, it's okay. The 3 personnel reports that reflect changes since our last meeting, we recommend approval as submitted.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
I would move that we approve W, X, and Y together.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Do I have a second? Great. Any discussion? Thanks for working so hard, Ryan. You're always at it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries 5-0. Dr. Pulver is now going to explain about approval of a board representative and alternate for the nominating committee to elect members to serve at the Orange County Committee on School District Organization. Dr. Pulver?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So this is a carryover item that would be normally approved at our organizational meeting in December. And so it's one more representative assignment that we need to have approved by the board, which would be 1 board member and then 1 alternate. This is a nominating committee. It's not the actual committee who was on the Orange County Reorganization Committee. But what that committee does is, as school districts have to, if they ever go through a trustee area and they're going to create maps, this Orange County Committee on Redistricting would approve those maps. That's the final stage of it. And then if there are ever any district boundary disputes from one district to another, this committee oversees that as well. And so what this assignment is really just a board member. It's about 1 meeting a year, who's the organizational meeting, and they would be on the nominating committee for people who would serve on the actual committee, if that makes any sense.
It does make perfect sense. You did a great job. So do I have a motion?
So can I move to nominate Ms. Hill? Would you be interested in taking on this role?
I would. Thank you very much.
So
And
I
then we
move to
need an
nominate Ms.
alternate.
Hill, and then we need an alternate.
I move to nominate Matt as our assistant to Mrs.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Does anybody else have any interest in?
I like the 2 of you.
We like you too.
I'm very happy with that. I sincerely appreciate your hand up. Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
So I
sorry.
think the way that you guys did the motion and the second, it's 2 separate votes.
Okay.
From what I understand, to keep things consistent for Ms. D'Angelo, is let's go ahead do the vote for which Mr. Bragman did nominating Mrs. Hill, and then I believe
Then
one of you seconded. Let's go ahead and do
separated out.
that
Okay. That
vote,
makes
and then there was
sense.
a separate for the alternate. So
And then, Dr. Pavlo, do we have to abstain if?
nope,
No.
okay, not at all.
All right.
We believe in you, Matt.
Thank you.
So let's go with the first one then. Do I hear a motion to approve Mrs. Hill as board representative to this committee?
You have a motion and
I've moved-
second
moved
on
that
the
again.
floor.
Do I have a
You just
second?
need to.
I think
You
Chris
have
already
that.
seconded.
Okay.
We just need to
vote.
approve it.
Okay. All those in, or any discussion? I think, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Now I'd like to entertain a motion to nominate Mr. Bragman.
I believe you have that already from Mr. Forehand.
Oh, we
and
can
then-
go backwards?
No, we would just need to do the vote separately because that's how they came up.
Oh,
They
okay.
came up as 2 different nomination motions.
I thought we
we
had
could
to-
have done in one motion, but it's okay.
I thought
So we
had
just need to
start
vote
from
on that
ground
final
zero.
one.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Do we have I'll second
We-
it.
Oh, I thought we had a second.
I believe it was seconded
Okay.
already. Yeah.
All right.
Miss
It
Tina
seems
took
so
good notes.
simple. It seems all those
Not so much.
Any discussion? No, let's not talk about it anymore. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, and now we are moving to, we had,
You have item.
no, oh, that's what I'm
11.
saying. We're moving to AA.
Yep, you
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, so 11AA was moved from consent to action items. And Mrs. Reed, would you like to address 11AA?
Absolutely. So we annually submit the CONAP, which is the consolidated application. And it basically states that we're going to apply for monies and some categorical funds that we would qualify for to support internal programs. And so this is an annual application that we take forward so that we're eligible for those funds.
Thank you. Great explanation. Do I have a motion for approval? Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We're moving back into closed session. And so do we need to record the time?
Mrs. Digila will record it. Yep.
Okay, this session's over, moving into closed session. I'm going to put my shoes back on.
I know.